We all like to play the compare game. Are we on track? Are you on track? Well, recently a study came out, Bloomberg did an article about it, comparing millennials to Gen X and the baby boomers. Are millennials on track? Are they keeping up? Are they falling behind? Got that research and perspective coming up. My name is Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Corhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. So I remember when my dad turned 40 and at his office they had a over the hill party and some other people got together at their house and kind of made a joke out of it and made it into a social gathering, but basically teasing on him because he was over the hill because he turned 40. Well, listen, I turned 40 this year and I am on that cutting edge of millennials where the oldest millennials turned 40 this year, born in 1981. And so this is interesting, caught my eye. I don't know if you saw this headline, but Bloomberg actually just did an article comparing millennials at age 40, since the oldest millennials are reaching that milestone this year, comparing them to Gen Xers at age 40 financially, and comparing them to baby boomers at age 40. And I'll tell you, it's very interesting. We're going to dive into the details right now, but the data reveals that millennials are not keeping up with prior generations at age 40. We are behind. In what areas, why, and then how do we catch up? Let's get into it. All right, so check out this chart here from the center of the Bloomberg article here. It shows that in yellow, when you compare the baby boomers at age 40, which apparently was 1989, their income in yellow, and this is all adjusted for inflation, so be aware of that this is all after inflation, so it's in present dollars, was pretty similar to Gen Xers' income at age 40 in 2004, and it's pretty similar to millennials today in 2019 is what the data is showing where income is. So income, the data suggests income's been stagnant. I would argue with that a little bit. Income has kept up with inflation, and you would hope that income could outpace inflation and so on, but it's not. It's kept up with inflation, so it's been sort of flat. Well, let's jump over to red, that red bar. Median debt, so average debt level. At age 40, boomers, okay, their income, let's just, for comparison's sake, their income on average per year was greater than their debt. Okay, fair enough. Gen Xers at age 40, no, quite a different story there. Their debt had significantly increased compared to boomers. And then look, and for millennials at age 40, it's even slightly higher. So on average, the debt load has been increasing by generation. Okay, we'll get into that a little bit more. And then look at median wealth, and how wealth is defined is total assets minus debt equals wealth. So that's why I would hit that level next. And as you guessed it, I mean, if debt levels are increasing per generation, each generation, then wealth would inevitably likely be declining over those generations. If the income has stayed stable, therefore, there's not as much excess income to be buying up assets, and debt has been rising, inevitably wealth would be dropping, and that's exactly what the chart shows here. Wealth from boomers at age 40 to Gen Xers at age 40 has declined, and wealth then for millennials at age 40 has declined even further. The data here suggests that millennials are falling behind previous generations at age 40. Is all hope lost? Definitely not. So there's three essential kind of takeaways from this, okay? Conclusions or concerns that I'm drawing. The first is retirement, okay? Let's go to that yellow bar with income, okay? Number one, if income is level, and they say stagnant, but it's just keeping up with inflation, okay? Let's not be confused. If income is not keeping up with inflation, but debt is rising, that means you have, or millennials today, have less discretionary income that can go towards saving and investing. In fact, the article goes on to say that millennials as a whole have less investments than baby boomers did at 40. So If income has kept up with inflation but not exceeded, but debt has significantly grown, then there's less available money to save for retirement. Okay, got that. And if income has been stable, okay, Social Security is connected, it's tied to someone's income, and therefore Social Security in retirement has not become a greater and greater asset to someone or retirement help to someone. It's been the same, if not possibly gone down. And so there's not as much to be saving up there's not as much income to be saving up for the future. Social Security isn't becoming a bigger help, might even becoming a lesser help. And then 3, what did baby boomers have at age 40 that for retirement that millennials at age 40 do not have? Pensions. And many of those baby boomers saw their pensions get cashed out and they didn't turn into income, they turned into assets. But many boomers at age 40 were working for an employer that had a pension plan. And those pension plans are gone. And so the average, we've done research on this before, the typical, I think it's only 15% of employees have pensions these days, and so millennials at age 40 don't have a retirement income stream being built up for them that baby boomers at age 40 did. So to me, my number one concern from this data is it's harder to retire, harder for millennials to retire. The second concern or confusion or conclusion that I make with this data is the impact of student loans, the impact of education. So if income is stagnant over time, well, then you're scratching your head saying, well, how can I get ahead? Well, all the data still supports that, well, getting a college degree or a specialty degree or a master's degree, advanced degree, will give you greater earning potential. Okay, yep, got it. So then I will defy these odds. I'll beat these averages and go get a college education so that I can get a higher income. Well, if you look, and the data is here as well, if you look at the average student debt for individuals that were 40, or boomers that were age 40, compared to Gen Xers at age 40, compared to millennials at age 40, it's not even close. We are, on average, shouldering a greater debt burden, a lot of which is student loans. A lot of it is student loans. Now, I don't look at this and say, well, shame on these institutions or shame on colleges, or there needs to be debt forgiveness, all that sort of stuff. I look at that and say, well, those are things outside of your control. I would tell you 2 things. Number one, where you go to school and how much it costs is extremely important. Whether you're working while you're at college, whether you're working during the summers, whether you can work harder, whether you can go to a cheaper school, that's important, right? And then once you graduate, how much income you earn and how quickly you can turn that income into paying off that student debt is extremely important. So yes, there's all sorts of other things. Should colleges cost this much? Should governments be subsidizing them in order to continue to inflate those prices? Should they forgive student loans? Those are all big questions, okay? I'm not going to try and answer them. I'm trying to encourage you with personal responsibility to say, well, if that's you and the data suggests on average millennials at 40 have more student loan debt, let's make some great choices here to overcome that burden. And then the third concern, the final concern that I have based on this data is housing expenses. And there's a chart in here in the article, and some data shows how expensive it is for a millennial or someone younger to buy a house today compared to the house burden that it was for boomers, let's say, at age 40. It's getting more and more expensive to buy a house. Now, you boomers would look at this and say, yeah, but listen, I had an 11% mortgage rate. You guys have a 3% mortgage rate. Yeah, I know. So that's why I'm making this the third point, not the first point. But you've just got to be, if you're trying to build wealth, if you're trying to defy these odds or these averages, be aware of how critical the housing expense is and how critical your mortgage is to your ability to build wealth. The bigger your mortgage is, obviously the more money that needs to go towards that and can't go towards saving up for emergencies or for retirement or helping your kids with school so they don't have student loans, those sorts of things. So it's all cyclical, it's all connected. All right, so what do you do with this information? You might be a boomer, you might be a Gen Xer, you might be a millennial, okay? Or you might be a millennial who is almost a Gen Xer and thinks like a boomer. I don't know, sort of like me, okay? So wherever you stand with this, the point isn't about, well, how do you stack up compared to the averages, okay? You don't want to be average. You want to achieve your financial goals, don't you? I mean, whatever it is, you want to achieve your financial goals. And yes, there's all sorts of things that will impact that. Policy, politics, the stock market, all sorts of things that are outside of your control. Here's what I'd ask. What's within your control to help you build wealth and reach your financial goals? Sit down with your spouse if you're married, or spend some contemplative time alone. Write out your financial goals. Sit down with your certified financial planner, map out a budget, and start achieving those goals. Take that list of goals, prioritize them, quantify them, work with your certified financial planner to build a budget to get on track for those. And it's not just any budget. Most budgets are completely useless. You need a 3 bank account system, a budget that handles your monthly expenses, the awareness to save up for future known expenses, and the awareness, the ability to have an emergency fund set aside so that you've got dollars there set aside just in case something terrible happens. Then be tracking, working with your certified financial planner to be on an ongoing basis, tracking, how am I doing? Am I still on track? Have things changed? How am I doing? What adjustments do I need to make sure that you're building wealth and taking meaningful steps as you're pursuing your financial goals. So that's the secret. Don't compare yourself to these averages. Work with a certified financial planner. Figure out what you need to be doing to get on track to achieve however you define financial success. If you don't have a CFP on your team, you can contact one on my team. Find us online, corehorn.com. That's Corehorn with a K. wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or give us a call, 574-247-5898. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.